It's heartbreaking to hear that a celebrity you may have idolized has died. It hurts even more when it's in a sudden, tragic way and in a way that wasn't caused by the celebrity themselves. It kind of makes you realize just how short and unpredictable life is. We took a look at some of the most devastating celebrity deaths and remembered them for these celebs' accomplishments. Were you affected by any of these deaths? Comment and let us know. 1. The world was shocked to hear about the death of Selena. She was one of the most popular Mexican-American singers and one of the most influential Latin artists of all time. She was just 23 years old when she was murdered. She was shot by the former president of her fan club in 1995 at the Days Inn motel. The two had been in a heated argument over missing finances. Her death really was a tragedy, and people still remember her to this day. 2. Paul Walker was famous for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and the Furious franchise. He had a daughter, Meadow Walker, whose godfather is Vin Diesel. Paul died in a single-vehicle collision in 2013. Reports say that the accident could have been caused by the car going too fast. Vin Diesel recently shared this picture of him and his daughter with Paul watching over them. The caption read, "Always, 3. It's no doubt that Michael Jackson was the king of pop. He holds multiple Grammy Award records and had 29 top 10 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Like any celebrity, he had his share of controversies, but he was widely admired by fans." On June 25, 2009, Michael was pronounced dead. He left behind 3 young children. His death was treated as a homicide, and his doctor, Conrad Murray, was charged with involuntary manslaughter. Michael has gone down in history as a music legend, and his songs' performance style continue to influence people all over the world. 4. Brittany Murphy was known for acting in many movies, including Clueless, 8 Mile, and Uptown Girls. She was found dead at just 32 years old. This is another death that people still talk about today because of the mystery behind it. People still don't have a definitive reason for her death. There were many different suspected causes of her death, including pneumonia, accidental drug overdose, and even heavy metals present in her home. Less than a year after Britney's death, her widower was found dead at the very same residence. 5. Christina Grimmie was a finalist on The Voice and an insanely talented and popular YouTube singer known for her many covers of songs. Her death sent shock waves throughout the music community. It was also the reason why many venues upped their security at entrances. While she was meeting fans after a show, she was shot and killed by a man who had entered the venue with 2 loaded guns. There has been an overwhelming amount of support from various celebrities Christina knew, including Adam Levine, who offered to cover her funeral costs. She was just 22 years old. 6. Princess Diana was well loved and admired around the world. Her death at just 36 years old shocked everybody. She has not since been forgotten, especially as her sons, William and Harry, have carried on her legacy. Diana was known as the People's Princess and dedicated much of her life to humanitarian work. It was a car crash that was the cause of her death in 1997. The driver of the car had some drinks and lost control of the vehicle. There was also a slew of paparazzi chasing the vehicle, and many people believe that they were a main contributor to the crash. The driver, Henry Paul, and Diana's romantic companion, Dodi Fayed, were also killed in the crash. 7. Steve Irwin was widely known as the Crocodile Hunter. It's no secret that he devoted his life to wildlife, which was ultimately the cause of his death in 2006. While the cause of his death wasn't necessarily a surprise, it was still very devastating. Steve was swimming in chest-deep water when he approached a stingray from behind. Suddenly, the ray struck Steve hundreds of times within a few seconds, directly in the chest. Steve bled to death before arriving at the hospital. Steve left 2 young children behind who have followed in his footsteps. His oldest daughter, Bindi, continues to carry on her father's legacy. She also went on to win the 21st season of Dancing with the Stars. His son, Robert, is also heavily involved in working with wildlife. 8. Anton Yelchin was best known for his role as Pavel Chekhov in the Star Trek reboot series. He was tragically killed in 2016 after he was pinned between his Jeep and a brick wall for hours. He was just 27 years old, and his death was labeled as a freak accident. Fans everywhere are still mourning the death of this talented young actor. 9. Alia's death at just 22 years old was heartbreaking. She had a career that was seriously taking off with singles like Try Again and Miss You. She was such a talent and had so much potential. In 2001, she and 8 others were killed in a plane crash in the Bahamas. The pilot had been under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Alia's music continued to be released after her death, and she was even awarded 2 posthumous American Music Awards. The death of Alia and the others present in the crash has always seemed like such a senseless, avoidable tragedy. 10. Glee star Cory Monteith was just 31 years old when his lifeless body was discovered in a Vancouver hotel room. Autopsy reports ruled that his death was caused by a mixed drug toxicity, and it appeared that his death had not been intentional. Fans around the world mourned his sudden and tragic death. Nobody saw it coming. People still remember the actor to this day. Anybody who watched Glee would see an episode dedicated to his character's death. His Glee co-star and girlfriend at the time of his death, Lea Michele, still speaks lovingly about the actor and often posts photos of him on her Instagram page. 11. The world is still shook up over the 1980 assassination of legendary musician John Lennon. His death was one that people have not forgotten, and many still remember where they were when they heard the news of his murder. He was murdered by one-time Beatles Lennon fan Mark David Chapman. Lennon had returned home to his apartment building from a photo shoot and a recording session when he was shot. Earlier on that very same day, Lennon had actually given his murderer an autograph. It's always so sad to lose people so young and so suddenly. Share if you miss these celebrities that are gone too soon.